So if you've been on the internet for as long as we have, do you remember seeing this guy?
Part of me wishes that angel statue would come to life, and King Baphomet would rise, and two eternal juggernauts would do battle right here in the middle of the city. But for what is this battle raging, you ask? I don't know. What stands at the center? To that I say, my soul is at the center, offered up to the ageless ones, only to be torn in twain.
Well, he just made a movie, and we're going to talk about it right now.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
I'm a OG boy. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another I'd Popcorn for That review. I'm Chris.
I'm Nick.
And today we are here to talk about Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls, the newest movie by Andrew Bowser. So Andrew Bowser is the guy at the beginning of this video who you might know from all these viral clips on the internet. I had never heard of him making a full-length movie before, but here's an example of him making a full-length movie. There's actually a couple others that he also directs and stars in. Have you seen any of his other?
I hadn't.
Are you with this guy?
I mean, besides his YouTube videos, not very. I mean, I've been watching his videos for quite a while, I feel like. I remember seeing him at least 10 years ago or something.
Yeah. I think it was the Baphomet statue unveiling that I saw first. But I saw a couple of his, and it has been a long time ago. But like I said, he has made full-length movies in the past. It looks like they're all kind of this campy, dorky kind of style, and he has these characters that he plays, and obviously this one, Onyx the Fortuitous, is very
It's definitely his
he's like a
recognizable character.
Yeah, very kind of the stereotypical like neckbeard, lives in his parents' basement, man-child, dorky guy, but he's also like a Satanist, or at least he's like a very casual Satanist.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like he's just latched on to something to try to get something going for his life.
Yeah. When we find out his like origin story, it's pretty. Everybody else has all these like deep stories about why they started following Bartok, because that's the.
Yeah, I guess you'd call him maybe like a sorcerer or something.
I guess like a sorcerer, yeah. And they're all there's these 5 people that are all fans of his, and they all win this opportunity to come to his mansion and be part of this ritual summoning of
Abaddon.
So it's this demon, but they don't even really. It seems like they don't really know all the details of what's about to happen. And they show up there, and Bartok's dead on the floor, and he has this video saying like, "If you're hearing me talk right now, I'm dead. Like, check my pulse. I'm really dead. Summon me back to life, and then we'll start this thing." And they summon him back to life, and that works really quickly. And I'm like, this is. I knew from the very beginning that we're in for an interesting ride here.
Right.
What are some of the positives about this movie that you would, some of your positive takeaways?
So yeah, I mean, I would say if you're a fan of Andrew Bowser's content, like Onyx the Fortuitous in general, you will probably like this movie. He does it, like he says in, like the beginning, it kind of pops up as him as himself, talking about like what he took influence from a little bit, like Gremlins, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, things like that, and it definitely is reminiscent of those movies, I would say.
I missed that actually because I was expecting this movie to be like most others and have like a whole bunch of trailers beforehand.
Yeah.
And mine started exactly when it said it was going to start. So I walked in probably about 2 minutes into the movie rolling, so I didn't catch that introduction.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with the Fathom event movies because there's usually not a bunch of trailers in before it starts.
So one of my big takeaways, and I'm sure you're probably going to get to this too, but one of my big takeaways from it positive was the puppet work and all the creature effects and everything like that. The company that did all the work with this is Creature Kid, and I thought that was a real standout here. I don't know if you like that or thought it was over the top campy or whatever, but I kind of like the shtick of it being completely over the top and looking. It almost reminded me of, it was like reminiscent of Mars Attacks or
right. They Live or something.
Yeah, some really in your face, just camp. But also like it reminded me a little bit of Jim Henson sometimes too, or like something from like Dark Crystal, or so. The creature work here was really good.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot, and it definitely was campy, but I feel like that's what he was going for, and it worked out well.
The comedy for me, it surprised me by how often it worked. Like I thought it was going to be a lower percentage of the time that the comedy worked for me, and I think it helped being in what was not an empty theater. Like there was a handful of other people in there.
Yeah.
All must have been like-minded. I think most people came there for Andrew Bowser's. He kind of has that style of humor of like Tom Green or maybe Andy Kaufman even. but like that, he's very embedded in the role of this. Like you almost can't separate him from the role that he's playing
Right.
all the time, the characters he's playing. But yeah, so this being in a theater with a bunch of other people and other people really really being receptive to this and laughing through the whole thing and applauding at the end, even though I think it's a little goofy to applaud at the end of the movie because there's
Yeah.
nobody there to. Well, whatever. It means they liked it, and I think that was cool. It means everybody in there liked it, and this is not a movie for everybody, and it's nice to be in there with people that were having a good time with this. So I don't know if that made me enjoy this even more than I would if I was just sitting watching this alone at home. But I had fun with it. I laughed more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little apprehensive about going into this movie. I wasn't even sure if we were gonna watch it tonight since it was like a one night release. I was surprised by like the demographic in the movie because I thought it was gonna be people all like our age and stuff, but I had like a couple of like older couples in there seeing it, like a family seeing it, and I didn't know how well that character was gonna translate to a feature length film. But
I think he gave it room to breathe.
Yeah,
where
with
you don't. It's not him all the way through the whole
exactly
time.
like it's a lot of the other characters too. Because if it was that character the entire time, it probably been like, yeah, okay. But it plays well with all
it
the
would
other
get old.
characters. Yeah.
And the fact that he keeps like he'll be like on one train of thought, like something about like the thing about him being the virgin. Like he'll be stuck on that, and other people will be having other conversations, and he's in his own world over there, stuck on that conversation. So
Right.
that kind of thing was funny, and I actually think they didn't do it that much, and I think doing any more than this would have taken away from the comedy or the horror or the something of it. But I think it added something to that they took a second to give it a little bit of heart for just a second. They give him a little bit of a you start to feel for the guy for a minute. He doesn't have many friends.
Right.
He thinks I won't give it away, but but there's something about there's a plot turn that makes you feel some sympathy for this guy. So
Are you
it
talking
is not
about
just
like
nonstop.
the origin for him or like a different part?
Just what the demon when he interacts with that demon in the box,
Okay.
which was
Yeah,
one of my
yeah.
favorite. That puppet is great. Again, not to name another. Not that every puppet movie has to do with each other, but that box puppet specifically, for some reason, reminded me of Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, okay. There's
What-
a part in the beginning which I think they've shown in the trailer, so I'm okay with like talking about, where they see the house and he was like, oh, this really reminds me of Michael Bay's Meatloaf video, I Would Do Anything for Love. It's like,
Oh man,
so it's kind of like you see it coming, and they did show it in the trailers, so they do like a rendition of that, and that part of the movie for me,
it's one of the best parts.
It was fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, him reenacting the Meatloaf video. Oh my god, I could watch that over and over. So there are negatives. So let's get those out of the way. But less than I thought for sure. But what are some negatives for you? Anything come to mind?
Oof, I gotta think for a minute. Honestly, man, I kind of like this movie a lot.
So the negative that comes to mind for me then, if you don't have one in the
Yeah.
chamber, is I thought there was a little bit of issue with the pacing in like the last third of the movie or something. There was a minute there where it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
And it didn't, because like the majority of the movie had this good pace and kept you interested. And there was just a little minute there, where I felt like it slowed down, where I could see somebody maybe taking a look at the time or something like that. But for the most part, that was not an issue at all. The runtime made me a little concerned for this kind of like shticky kind of movie, if it could hold out for this length of time. But I think for the most part, it does succeed at that. So it sounds like you don't have a lot of cons. So
No,
what else do you want to talk about here then?
So there's a scene where he's talking to his mom in the kitchen, like his stepdad's there, and he's just like full out dressed in a suit, and he's dressed out in his goth gear, about to go to work. And he's like making fun of his work attire and stuff. He's like, "Why do you always wear a suit? You sell Doomsday mac and cheese over the phone."
You sell buckets of Doomsday mac and cheese over the phone.
Yeah, and their whole dynamic for that scene was pretty hilarious.
That reminded me a little bit of somewhere between the dynamic in Hot Rod with him and his, I think it's a stepdad, right?
Yeah.
That he's got to like impress. It was like a little bit of that mixed with.
It reminded me of Observe and Report with Aziz Ansari and Seth Rogen, where they're both like, "Fuck you, Ronnie. Fuck you." He's like, "Fuck you, Saddam Hussein of Iraq."
Oh, I was thinking of Freddy Got Fingered too, like his
Okay,
relationship
yeah.
with his dad and Freddy Got Fingered. But yeah, I almost wish we had gotten a little more of that. The stepdad does come back in again at the end, but that's a little spoilery.
Yeah, you do get like the origin of why he says "I don't know" all the time, which I thought was a pretty good way to like because it is one of those like things he just always does. So it's nice to see why he does it.
Man, this guy, you can tell he's like studied this type of personality type.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels effortless. Like it feels like he is this kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
happy for him that he like this movie got funded and like studios put it out and everything. I think it was successful, and
I
hopefully
hope
he
people
gets.
get a chance to see it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be streaming somewhere. Screambox is a streaming service, I think, isn't it? And it was.
Okay.
I think
But
I might
yeah,
be wrong about that, but I'm sure it'll make its way somewhere, and it's definitely worth a watch if you're into like Gremlins, Beetlejuice, like those type of movies, these old like campy horror movies. It's
yeah, practical
worth.
effects, you
Yeah,
know, almost Jim Henson level practical effects. I was really impressed with that and the comedy here and
yeah, the
yeah, just
comedy
the whole
really
thing.
hit for me, but I have been watching a lot of his stuff recently. He's been putting out like a ton of promotional content for this that's been pretty
His
good.
promotional stuff for this is so good. Yeah,
Yeah,
solid. Like just kind of editing himself into all these like viral
podcasts and
trendy
like
videos
yeah.
online. Yeah, yeah. I've enjoyed watching all that. Yeah, I wish there was more we could say about it, but we both kind of want to
I mean, it's gonna
let
be a
you
while to
experience this
get.
movie.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a little bit before it comes to streaming, I would imagine, because it was just like a single night release, unless it gets an extended release based off how this did. Hopefully it
Hmm.
does, and so you can get out there and see it. But if not, I'm sure it'll come to streaming somewhere pretty soon.
Sounds like
Or
we both highly recommend the heck out of this. Like you gotta catch this if you can.
yeah,
So what's your number on this? This is a little bit of a hard one to score because I find myself wanting to give it a pretty high score, but maybe
I'm
that's
going.
what it is.
I'm going kind of high, man. I'm going to give it an 8. I enjoyed it a lot. Like the comedy hit for me. The
Hmm.
story was pretty good. Like he fleshed out. It wasn't just him the whole time, which I was worried about. Like not it just getting a little stale, but it was those characters
I
peppered
was
in was
getting
great.
worried that I don't think the trailer does the good does the service. Like
Yeah,
you know, I don't
doesn't
think this
show a lot of the other characters.
because when you get there and you see that these five people, you know, maybe I just didn't pay good enough attention in the trailer or something. But you meet these five people for the first time. They're very different personality types, and I think that added a lot to it. Like this
Hmm.
professorial. He is a professor, right?
You said he was an English teacher, so yeah.
Yeah. So he and everybody calls him Mr. Duke. And there's like this kind of witchy tattoo artist chick.
And then there's
But
like
yeah,
some like
all those characters work well together.
the ex-Christian lady. I think might have been the negative for me. She was a little
She
much.
was a little shrill.
Yeah, but like it was fine, but like she was a little shrill and like just she's
It
like
kind of fit the
yeah,
camp
yeah,
elements of this though for me. So
yeah.
I could forgive it for that. But I was saying like thinking to myself while watching this, like this might be the part if we're gonna have a nitpick about this movie, her character might be a little grating.
Right.
I think I'll go. I think I'll go the same way. I think I'll go an 8 as well.
Nice.
Real surprising. You know, and I enjoyed like we just watched another horror comedy, and I think this stuck the landing a little better and
Yeah.
nailed it a little more for me. So that was nice to see. We got Killers of the Flower Moon coming very soon. Very excited about that. We got a little surprise twist on that video coming up, and yeah, stick around for the next one, guys. Hit like below, please, if you feel so inclined. Share this with your friends, and hit subscribe. Remember, we're trying to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year. That'd be super cool.
Yeah, we got like
So, yeah.
10 in since the last couple of videos. That's nice. Thank you for
Yeah,
helping
I
out.
should say, like, thank you guys for, you know, for us, our When Evil Lurks video has gotten enough views to make us happy. So
Right.
that's a lot of views for us. So thanks for watching that. And if you haven't seen that, check that out. I'll put a link below to that one because that one's getting a lot of views right now. So, but yeah, check out our other videos on the channel and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you.